Welcome back to the Lessons for Tomorrow podcast, the motivational poster in your ear. I'm your host, Tim Elanius, VP for Strategic Initiatives at AmericanEagle.com. In this episode, we're going to be diving into the Inception of Buy with Prime. Great movie as well, but this is all about a brand new offering that Amazon brought to the table, and I'm so excited to be joined to discuss this with our special guest speaker from Buy with Prime, Derek Majeski.
How are you doing, Tim?
Great. Derek, I was going to say, you're the partner development manager. You and I have known each other for a couple of years now, going through these efforts with the initial aspects of Buy with Prime. And you are 6+ years as an Amazonian now, and you are a proud launch member of the Buy with Prime team. Your experience at Amazon ranged across multiple businesses, including Amazon Launchpad and seller recruitment. And you focus on helping entrepreneurs grow their businesses through levers uniquely powered by Amazon. And this is another lever that Amazon really kind of brought to the table. What you do day in, day out, right, is you work with highly skilled agency partners, such as AmericanEagle.com, to bring Buy with Prime to merchants and integrate innovations that impact Buy with Prime as a whole. You are native to California, but you're not there anymore, right?
I'm not. Welcome to Seattle.
Welcome to Seattle. All right. And so with that, you enjoy rooting on the Mariners, and that is with your wife and your corgi, which is awesome. We used to have corgi races here at the racetrack, Arlington racetrack, before that closed down. That was kind of fun every year. But yes,
Insanity.
I could go on and on about corgis. I have a coworker who has one. She's adorable. And yes, her name is Ella, but it's short for mozzarella, so it's a lot of fun. And then you also love finding the perfect ski line from the top of a mountain to the après-ski party, which I cannot attest to at all because I cannot ski for the life of me. So I've never really attempted it since that one time on a hill.
It was my my one thing I picked up in order to really like winter because, as you know, Seattle's weather is not as rough as Chicago's, but a lot of rain. So if it's raining here, it's snowing there. It makes it more fun.
Yeah, and lately now we're kind of known as Tornado Alley. It's no longer Oklahoma, Kansas, all the Plains states. I mean, right now running total for the year, we have the most tornadoes out of any state. So that's our claim to fame in Illinois, Chicago area. Kind of interesting, but also kind of just part of life. So anyways, we'll move off the weather and talk about technical e-commerce features and functionality, what our listeners really want to hear. So I'm excited for the conversation today. We've known each other a while and been at a couple different conferences together, worked on several different initiatives for merchants as well. So very excited about all that. Yeah. But if you can kind of just kick us off, Derek, and just give us the initial idea of Buy with Prime, how did that come into fruition overall?
Yeah, so this all really started off when Amazon Prime launched back in 2005. And so since then, we have over 200 million Amazon Prime members that expect fast, free delivery. Some additional kind of background here. So Amazon has invested about $100 billion into our fulfillment network over the past 15 years, with hundreds of fulfillment centers, sortation centers, and delivery stations around the globe. And as Andy Jassy mentioned in his 2022 letter to stakeholders, or shareholders, sorry, many merchants successfully sell their products on Amazon's marketplace. But as you know, there's a ton of merchants that also sell directly on their own e-commerce websites. And one of the challenges for those merchants is driving conversion from view all the way to purchase. And Buy with Prime was invented to help solve that challenge. Yeah, I'm just curious, like, because you guys have been, American Eagle has been in this process with us for quite a while. Like, what makes you interested in implementing Buy with Prime? Like, what brings this to life for you?
Oh, absolutely. So we were thrilled to work with Amazon and become part of the Buy with Prime partner network because, as you mentioned, right, there's this aspect for, merchants are not just selling on Amazon. They have their own sites. There might be other channels as well. But I mean, when we really saw a lot of things happening during the pandemic, people were really needing to communicate and people were not holding loyalty as well. And so they were finding whoever had inventory. And so it was so critical to be able to capture that interest in that transaction at that point of product detail page, really. And that's where the Buy with Prime option really just kind of struck home for this, kind of just great idea of, hey, they're familiar with the program already with Prime, right? The ability to connect that in through. It's even easier because a large number of the population has an Amazon account. And so it benefited both the merchant and the customer because that really allowed them to connect that exact pivotal moment of, hey, we have it in stock, buy now, versus trying to add
Yeah.
more to a cart. And while we always want to see when we work with our clients is the growth of a cart, right? Oh, upsell or add-ons and all that. Sometimes just that immediate transaction is enough because that's the immediate point of decision that that end purchaser is at.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's spot on.
So the couple other things. So we also kind of started when we could lend our expertise into the Amazon Buy with Prime team to help shape that, right? When it was in beta testing. I think that was one of the key things and some of the discussions that we had and different teams with Buy with Prime. But how do we actually look to seamlessly integrate that into the merchant e-commerce sites? And back in the day, it used to be e-commerce was, still built off certain frameworks. Now it's a lot of third-party solutions that are utilized, and so those were key ways that we integrated Buy with Prime into those third-party solutions in order to have that option immediately available on the correct product pages for our clients. And I think that's just where when we saw that, when we were testing through that, since that launch, we've done over, I believe, 30 implementations now of Buy with Prime. And it's just great to see that number continuing to grow and the experience that it delivers for our clients and those merchants specifically to Amazon. As we kind of look at this, right? We talked a little bit about what does Buy with Prime do, but how does it work? I think maybe just expand a little bit on the growth of e-commerce and the opportunity that we talked a little bit about the at that moment of purchase decision, but maybe you can expand a little bit more on that for our listeners.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Buy with Prime is pretty interesting. So it empowers merchants to grow their e-commerce businesses on their own website, which is a total shift from the way that Amazon was working previously, right? Everything was on Amazon, your website was very separate. And so with Buy with Prime, merchants can attract Amazon shoppers with the trust of Prime. And we've seen that that actually boosts conversion rates by an average of 25% because of fast free shipping, transparent delivery times, and a checkout experience that millions and millions of people know and love. Um, that stat, by the way, it measures the average increase in shoppers who placed an order when Buy with Prime was available purchase option versus when it was not during the same time period. So we did A/B testing across many merchants and average rate of 25% increase in conversion. And Buy with Prime is pretty simple to set up and it's quite seamless at this point as well. So merchants can display Buy with Prime branding on their website and in their marketing to help really drive and attract that Prime member and then drive them to that actual e-commerce site. From there, Buy with Prime button allows shoppers to seamlessly purchase through their Amazon account. So they get the same fast and convenient checkout options, secure payment, and then again, fast free delivery and easy returns that Prime members love. So it's pretty simple for customers, and hopefully it's straightforward then for merchants to consider too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's critical too, and just to unpack a little bit and from lessons from the past, right? So we've evolved in the benefits of Prime, which originally launched back in 2005, as you mentioned earlier. But, you know, with that evolution, just where do you see that being so critical to this it's newer feature of Buy with Prime that Amazon is providing merchants and at the end of the day, end customers to value from that Prime
Mhm.
account? How do you see that evolution? Just it's grown over time. It's continued to add benefits. This is another benefit overall.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that and just kind of that vision.
Yeah, I think that it really is focused on giving customers more of the convenience and trust that they've known to come and expect from Prime as a whole. So back in 2005 at launch, Prime only supported 2-day shipping for about 1 million products that were in stock at Amazon. And then a year later, Amazon launched Fulfillment by Amazon. So we were basically able to use Amazon's fulfillment network to turn on Prime listings for merchants that were selling on Amazon.com. And then skip forward to 2011, Prime Video launched. You know, there were 5,000 commercial-free movies and TV shows, and like that really was a shift in the value of Prime because it wasn't just shopping, but it was overall convenience. Like I can sit on my TV now and watch tons and tons of content very simply. 10 years since launch, Amazon Prime Day was born to really offer deals on a number of products for that 24-hour period, right? And then in 2017, additional benefits were added to Prime, including the ability to use Prime membership at Whole Foods for discounts on all the items that I buy at a grocery store. In 2019, Amazon launched Amazon Fresh Groceries. So it's like grocery and everyday essential delivery, where customers get them right at their house in fewer boxes and all on the same day. So there's been quite a kind of growth trajectory of Prime, right?
Mhm.
I mean, then you start looking in 2020, we launched Prime Gaming, which was access to free games, subscription to Twitch TV. 2021, we expanded the video offering through the acquisition of MGM Studios. So tons of great new movies were added. And then in 2022, we officially launched Buy with Prime. So we've been live for just over a year now. And this is really the first time that Prime members could use their membership to buy items on their favorite D2C websites. So obviously over the past, 18 years, there's been a ton of changes, but really it is focused on offering more and more value for our Prime members.
Absolutely. And I think it's critical that D2C direct to consumer feature of Buy with Prime is that big standout aspect of it, where
Yeah.
we took that checkout experience into a direct to consumer website, not just redirecting them over to Amazon to fully do it. But then the fact that you're still finding new ways to make the merchants, experiences that much more robust is huge. And that's why we love talking with our clients about it.
Yeah, I know that. So you guys have been partners with us since the very earliest days of Buy with Prime, and you've seen the offering change quite a bit too. I'm curious to hear like what your team has learned about implementation, as far as how long it takes. Who do you typically work with to get approvals? Like, is there any advice you give?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes into agency funding, we usually kick things off with anywhere from 5, 10, or 20 hours. The implementation time can vary based on the complexity, but simple implementations usually are pretty quick, around 5 hours. But if we need to introduce some variants, it might require a bit more time. So when we talk about who kind of signs off on these projects and who we're working with, most of our clients are small to medium sized businesses, SMBs. And
Yeah.
in most cases, it's either the company owner or a main marketing contact who gives the go ahead for moving forward with an implementation for Buy with Prime. So, a piece of advice for merchants: be flexible with us. We need some room to maneuver and account for the different variations. So, flexibility is key overall. But let's kind of take it back to the partnership, right? Let's talk about AmericanEagle.com. We're a Buy with Prime partner with loads of experience implementing Buy with Prime on sites, like our clients who've been involved in the integration builds that Buy with Prime and other implementation teams use. So that's definitely a bonus. We're also experts in developing variant SKUs in Shopify and have a handy plugin for WooCommerce. So two very popular ones where we see just that need. And let's not forget about the ease of implementation for businesses, because as you know, Buy with Prime works seamlessly on many different platforms. So BigCommerce is one platform that developed a custom connector earlier this year, making it even easier for merchants to add the Buy with Prime into their site without any coding. American Eagle has completed numerous big commerce integrations over the past year for those merchants who are already on that platform.
Yeah, it's tech stack agnostic, but there's definitely still, like you're saying, a little bit of work to make sure that everything looks right, feels right, and really like gets the merchant what they need for their customers. So yeah, it's
Exactly.
been nice working with your team to make that happen.
Yeah, and same with your team as well. And so with that and all those implementations that we've done and just others that are out there as well through the Buy with Prime, what are results that merchants are seeing that you can talk about, Derek?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that resonates really is like when you take a step back, like what do my shoppers truly want on my website? And that is convenience, reliability, and trust. And so all the data that Amazon's been looking at and really to inform Buy with Prime, we've seen that shoppers do expect a certain experience when they shop online. So, for example, they want to buy products with a simplified transaction, like you were saying, as quickly as possible. They want to be able to trust that transaction with all their, obviously payment information. And then they want to get the items in a reliable and convenient time frame. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't want to wait 2 weeks from my favorite store to have the item shipped to me. Like, if I know it's going to get here in 2 days and I can track that, way better. So I have some data to pull up here. So according to a ComScore 2020 State of Retail report, 55% of shoppers say that free shipping is the most important factor when making an online purchase.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Stop there. If you're
Just
not
stop
offering free
there.
shipping, yeah, I mean, if you're not offering free shipping, consider it, because it's a top reason that people are buying online, or a top consideration at least. And if shoppers aren't getting that free shipping that they want and expect from an online store, they're likely to look elsewhere. So I know that very specifically, if I'm shopping on a D2C site, I see that I'm going to have to pay for shipping. I might go over to Amazon and buy the same item because I know it's going to show up again for free. Um, we also know that shoppers would often prefer to shop with the brand directly, right? But sometimes, just like I just said, they find themselves back on Amazon due to pricing, convenience, or just because they want to continue with all their Prime benefits, right? So as far as the actual results merchants are seeing, to answer your question, Tim, we're seeing great momentum as merchants begin to offer Buy with Prime on their sites. So one of the biggest things that we're seeing here is that merchants are leveraging shopper trends and marketing opportunities to get in front of those Prime members and help drive that really high value traffic to their product pages. And ultimately, that should help convert because the customer knows they're going to get the same Prime benefits that they know and love. And then post-purchase, merchants are seeing that they can nurture those relationships with Prime shoppers because they get all of that merchant data, including email, shipping address, and order history. So very much they're able to build those relationships out and really maximize the lifetime value of that new customer. I'm curious because I know you guys, again, have done quite a few implementations. What is American Eagle seen as so far as the lift for customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to setting up the lift, installation, testing, optimization, the good news is that the Buy with Prime button is compatible with pretty much all major e-commerce providers like Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, and more. And so assuming that the merchant has completed the Buy with Prime setup in their merchant console, the installation process involves really generating the button code from the console, adding it to the product detail page template on the direct to consumer DTC site, and then usually this means making some tweaks to the theme files or adding additional code snippets. So as you mentioned before, it's just really making sure that it looks good after you've implemented that there and that little bit of tweaking overall. On most D2C sites, you'll need to make some modifications to the product details template or related components. And then adding that code snippet is pretty straightforward. It might take a little trial and error to find the best spot where to place it. But typically, we are recommending placing it right below the standard add to cart buttons for optimal visibility. It captures that user's attention and it's a great spot. So now that's the simple side. Let's talk more about complex product variants. And when we talk about that, we'll incorporate custom code that handles any changes made by the end users, ensuring that the Buy with Prime button gets updated accordingly so it can send that information across. So we also make sure the functionality considers the quantity selected by the user. And at the end of the day, when it comes time to test and validate that button, it's as simple as checking a product that offers it, the Buy with Prime, on your D2C site to make sure that the Buy with Prime button shows up in the desired location. Then you can go through and optimize that button. There's UI customizations in the customization section of the merchant console that you can utilize. We also perform thorough validation to ensure that that Buy with Prime button doesn't significantly slow down the loading speed of the product detail page, which is critical. The merchant is covered when it comes to blending the button seamlessly into their D2C site while still maintaining that familiar Buy with Prime branding for the client's customers. We can even integrate their branding guidelines.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of customization there that can be done that really makes it look really seamless with the site, and that's important. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So I guess kind of as we typically do on this show, where do you see the Buy with Prime going in the future, Derek?
Yeah, so we have been talking with many, many merchants, and we take that feedback very seriously as we develop out our roadmap. And so there's two really common pieces of merchant feedback that I want to highlight, and I think that's the direction that we're going to go with Buy with Prime. So the first question that we get a lot is, Does Buy with Prime integrate with my e-commerce service provider? Like, do I have to do a custom install, etc.? And so we currently have live integration with BigCommerce, which is the Buy with Prime app for BigCommerce, as you mentioned. And I see that that concept is something that will continue to grow over time, making it easier to install and make sure that everything works out of the box as soon as you have Buy with Prime on your site. The second thing that comes up all the time is when will customers be able to buy a variety of items in one or at once through the Buy with Prime cart? And exciting update, we actually do have a live cart now. So this is brand new off the press. We're some of the first people to hear it. But this cart functionality is one of the biggest asks that merchants had. It's something that we're going to continue to build out.
Wonderful. That's great
I know
news.
that, again, I know. It's like, how long have we been talking about this, Tim? And it's here. The day is here. I would love to hear, because I know that you're talking with merchants about this. Like, where do you see Buy with Prime going in the future? Like, let's do some live feedback.
Yeah, absolutely.
What should we be considering for our roadmap?
Absolutely. We definitely believe there's an exciting opportunity to keep enhancing the user experience by adding cart building, as you just mentioned, as that roadmap item and that release. This addition would be awesome for enabling that aspect of multiple different items, because there are certain direct to consumer merchants who do have a reason for multiple items to be purchased at the same time. And so this really is going to enhance their experience that they can deliver for their end users and customers. Um, so with this just multitude of new features and updates to Buy with Prime over the years, since we were first working with the team at Amazon Buy with Prime on, we're just excited to see this continued future roadmap based on merchant discussions and feedback, because it really is addressing their needs and what they need to help continue growing their business, but at the same time improving the user experience at the end of the day for the shoppers on their sites. Another big one I think is the collection pages are another feature set to look out for, and we'll be able to create captivating marketing and branding pages, including visually appealing banners. And I think this just extends beyond that product detail page template, and the opportunity becomes even more thrilling when we consider the intricacies of working with complex products. So initially, right, it was more the simple basic products, and then we've evolved over time, but this really gives that perspective of the end consumer, the fact that we can work within these detailed complex products. So introducing that opens doors to add even more offerings that are going to come down the pipe, and the continued growth that they have with this Buy with Prime feature set. Additionally, it's worth mentioning that Buy with Prime shows it's committed overall to the continuous improvement by actively incorporating that merchant feedback, as I mentioned, into features and releasing new integrations. So it's not just a company going off and saying, hey, I just need this one off. It's really the holistic view of how do we benefit e-commerce, and how do we benefit that at this level of Buy with Prime being implemented, but then continuing to grow it and not just let it stay the first version that it was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to keep getting better.
Absolutely.
Good news.
We've seen it over the years now already. It's great. Each time it's
Yeah.
exciting to talk with you and the team and be, oh, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
So with all this, right, you talk to a lot of merchants, and the team at Amazon Buy with Prime does too. What are they saying about Buy with Prime and their experience on the merchants?
Yeah. Yeah, I love talking with merchants. Like, this is one of the most fun parts of my job, super motivating. And we've seen that Buy with Prime is having a really big impact on their businesses. So I have a couple examples I'll share with you here. The first one is Patrick Sean Briseno. He's the sales and marketing manager at Great Circle Machinery, which is a heavy duty tools and equipment retailer. And his experience with Buy with Prime is very straightforward. So I'm going to quote him here. Patrick says, quote, "It's tough to gain shoppers' trust and to make a purchase. But the Buy with Prime badge on our site gives shoppers peace of mind, knowing their orders are fulfilled by Amazon with the Prime delivery promise. Buy with Prime now accounts for over 70% of our website orders and revenue," end quote, which to me is something to be very excited about. That's a huge chunk of revenue that's going specifically through this channel for that business. Second example. So her name is Aishitu Fatima Dozie. She's the founder and CEO of Bossy Cosmetics, which is a makeup brand. And Buy with Prime for her was a no-brainer. So as she was growing her business, she found that elements of her e-commerce site were really limiting. So for example, she needed to charge for shipping, and it would cost $5, and then it would take up to 4 days. But what Aisha noticed was that her beauty purchases are often those impulse buys, right? And so having that long wait time wasn't what the shopper really wanted. And so because Buy with Prime is able to offer shopper benefits like that fast free delivery on sites beyond Amazon, Bossy Cosmetics decided to go all in on Buy with Prime. And so they added it as a checkout option on the site. They also placed a Buy with Prime badge on their actual homepage, so you can see Buy with Prime enabled products very specifically. And then Aisha went to work and teaching her loyal social media followers about this shopping benefits of Buy with Prime. She would literally do her makeup and she'd say, hey, if you want this color in a very fast amount of time, go to my website and Buy with Prime is an option for you. And so in talking with Aisha, she told us that really she just wants to meet the customer where he or she lives and do what's most convenient for them. So whether they buy on Amazon, off Amazon, in store, it doesn't matter so much. For Bossy Cosmetics, it's all about convenience, and that's why they have chosen to use Buy with Prime.
Yeah, and Derek, you mentioned something there that we haven't really hit on in the earlier discussion of where we've really honed in on where Buy with Prime button goes. But in that case with Bossy Cosmetics, it's the utilization of the Buy with Prime badge on the homepage as well. And I think that's important for people to hear is yes, there's the aspect of where the transactional Buy with Prime button is placed, but there's other ways to promote it and market it throughout your site for your D2C website to draw that attention in as an option. I think that's a great example that Bossy Cosmetics did of including that badge to help show people that they have that option moving forward. So when we think about all this, right, there's the aspect for the merchants of working with Amazon. There's a customer service experience that also is going to come into play here with Buy with Prime. So can you talk to our listeners a little bit more about that as well?
Yeah, so the customer experience as a shopper, there's really two ways that you can get support. And so the first is a self-service resource. So typical to what you'd see with Amazon customer service, you're able to kind of go in and help find some of your answers to the most common post-order questions, but then also reach out to a customer service representative. And so that first actual stop for that self-service option is typically like you're going to just click get support button that appears on all Buy with Prime post order pages. So you're going to see like you've transacted, you can click get support. Also, you're going to get an email and you can click get support there. And that will take you to a place where you can kind of see the different options. The other option here, the second support method, is requesting support directly from the actual merchant. So, and the merchant's customer service team can help with the customer. So customers contact merchants typically through two ways. The first is directly on your site through like a contact us link, and I would say most sites have some version of that at this point. The second would be contacting you through the send a message button within the resolution page. So that would be from Amazon system, they can send you a message and then you can help kind of with that customer service question. In the case of Bossy Cosmetics, it's, hey, the shade is a little bit off. Can I get something different? And then the brand is able to represent how to help the customer through that situation. For merchants to get support through Buy with Prime, they're going to do all of that through what we call the Merchant Console. And there's also a knowledge center on our website. So tons of different blogs, testimonials, and very technical content about here's what Buy with Prime does, here's how to make it work. But one of the ways that I think really makes sense for a lot of these businesses is they bring in it's like a trusted partner like American Eagle to help them manage the logistics of Buy with Prime until they're feeling really confident about it on their own.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where customer service is an extremely important aspect. And as you mentioned, contact us as a standard on any D2C website today. There's other channels as well that might funnel into that, but you outlined the two primary ways that the customer service experience with Buy with Prime is really focused on today. And then again, if there's additional questions, there's the different routes that you mentioned, which is great for our merchants to understand. So we have that aspect of customer service that's available, but really after the fact of once a merchant adds Buy with Prime to their site, we've implemented it for our clients that have come to us for it. What's next in terms of just, that experience with Buy with Prime now?
Yeah, there are a handful of features that merchants can use once Buy with Prime is live on their site. So one of them that helps really drive shopper interest is the Buy with Prime marketing toolkit. And this offers a way for shoppers to drive interest in their products using the trust of Prime by using the actual Buy with Prime badge in their marketing. So you might see on Instagram or Meta the actual badge next to the product. And merchants are able to then share that their customer is going to get fast free delivery across any marketing channel that they're working in very quickly because people understand what that Prime blue and the smile mean. Another option that's available to all Buy with Prime merchants is social ads for Buy with Prime. And so this makes it very, very easy to enable a merchant to create ads that automatically feature Buy with Prime badge. And very importantly, set up Meta's conversion API to attribute those conversions. So I know that American Eagle does a lot of work on this. Like if you're going to run ads, you have to make sure you know where all that's going. And this app very specifically will help merchants that are using Facebook and Instagram campaigns to both drive interest through that Prime badge, but then also attribute the sales on the back end. So yeah, it's something that's worth setting up, even if you're not going to run Instagram or Meta ads. It's worth setting up this app just so that you have that conversion API in place.
Absolutely. And all of this comes down into just the overall continual optimization of your website. And it's
Yep.
just, we're no longer in the launch it and forget about it for a couple years and then redesign it. As much as I love those years of web development in the early 2000s, we are in a constant state of iteration and testing, as you mentioned earlier, even as well, of just how do we continually optimize our sites. And so when we look at that, what are the options that merchants can do for optimizing their websites overall from this perspective?
So we did recently publish an ebook. If it's okay, I'll share that with you,
Hmm.
and your team can share that out either in the notes or
Yeah, we'll post a
whatever
link
makes
to it in
sense.
the description, and that was with Baymard, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So we're
Baymard.
excited about that.
Our teams use Baymard very heavily, so it was great to see that you guys collaborated with them as well. But anyways, go on, Derek.
Yeah, yeah. I think one thing to pull out of that report, because I don't want to leave you on a cliffhanger here, but is that all of the studies that we're looking at are saying that offering that streamlined checkout experience, including that immediate buy now button, leads to three big things. So an increasing conversion rate, reduced cart abandonment, and improved customer satisfaction. To get a little bit deeper into each of those. So as far as increasing conversion rates, a more straightforward purchasing process tends to encourage customers to complete their transactions. It makes sense. The studies that we were looking at have shown that adding a one-click purchase option can increase conversion rates by up to 10% or more. It's a pretty solid increase right there on that conversion rate. The second thing, so reduced cart abandonment. By allowing customers to skip the shopping cart and proceed directly to checkout, that buy now button can really help reduce the number of abandoned carts, right? Because you
Mhm.
want it, you bought it. So we're seeing that cart abandonment rates in e-commerce can range from 60 to 80%. And again, simplifying that checkout process has been shown to help decrease those rates of abandonment. And then that final thing, so improving customer satisfaction. Having that seamless and easy to use checkout experience really does lead to higher customer satisfaction and increased brand loyalty because they know that when they buy the item from you, it's not going to be a hassle to actually have it come to them. I those are my takes, at least from that study. Are there any pitfalls in e-commerce that you think businesses should avoid?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the key things that we have is, and just the ways that we're trying to always address the ever evolving shopper expectations that change over time. But the underestimating the power of social proof to build brand trust. And you mentioned this with the utilization
Yeah.
of the badges. And I just think it's so critical that with influencers of today and the way that people look for peer reviews and even reviews at that element of what is posted online is crucial to building that brand trust. And I think that you cannot underestimate the power of social proof in that realm. So that's
Yeah.
definitely one. Um, the barriers to purchase being too high, and that comes in when we talked earlier about the cost of shipping, right? Most people are looking
Yeah.
for free shipping. Um, it's amazing how many times I might find that I say, "Oh, let me spend $5 more because then I'll get free shipping." It's amazing the
Yep.
power of a lot of those messaging tools throughout the checkout experience or shopping experience. But to your point about like the abandoned carts, when we can take them directly in and the stats that you just shared, right? We're decreasing that drop off rate for abandoned carts because we skip that extra step of let me think about it a little bit more. They know they want it. They've added it to cart. Now let's get them to checkout. Because a lot of times, and I'll use my own story for this too, I'll be shopping and I'll put something in my cart. And then I've got 4 boys. So, of course, I get distracted multiple times throughout the evening or weekend. And I'll forget to go and complete that transaction. I'm like, oh, there's probably just one more thing. So, that like immediate aspect of just let me finish it immediately. And I can just do it again and again later. I don't need to worry about building up a cart to get to that full aspect. But on the direct to consumer side, that's an easy spot where people get distracted and then you can abandon that cart as well. So give them that quick option to complete the transaction. You're benefiting both yourself as a merchant, but then also your end customer who's really the one who you want to finish that transaction with. So it's a double benefit
Yeah.
at the end of the day. Um,
Yeah.
Another pitfall to kind of just watch out for in our experience is assuming what works for another e-commerce store will work for you. So
Mhm.
merchants, yes, it's good to look at a competitive analysis and in the marketplace, but always look for what's going to be best for your customers as a merchant versus saying I always need to look and do exactly what they're doing because there will be differences between you. And then
Yeah.
lastly, I would just say, watch out for attempting to scale without having the right processes in place. So when it comes to adding certain features and making sure that you have a clear contact us for that support. How are you going to
Yeah.
handle support? How are you going to handle an issue when it comes up? Making sure you have that and can scale that is critical and a pitfall that we see all too often. Someone will initiate a new program and then they haven't thought through all the processes behind what they have to do to support it after it's in place.
100%. I agree with this.
Derek, we've been covering a lot of material here about Amazon with the Buy with Prime, and so I want to just lastly kind of dive into one area before we wrap up the episode today. And can you just explain what reviews from Amazon is?
Absolutely. Yeah. So reviews from Amazon enables merchants to tap into the volume and authenticity of their reviews from Amazon.com and actually put them on their off Amazon product pages for products that are offering Buy with Prime. And again, the idea here is to help boost that shopper trust and provide exactly what you were saying, social proof.
Hmm.
So reviews from Amazon give shoppers the familiar experience they trust from Amazon.com, but it also then complements any other product review features that a merchant might have on their own e-commerce site.
That's awesome. That's going to be such a critical one for people with both the social proof, the confirmation of what reviews can do in certain product categories and types of direct to consumer
Mhm.
websites where people do really seek that information right away. Uh, we've covered a lot. If I really had to
Yep.
break it down, I mean, I don't know if I've covered this many specific uh, conversational points in the past on shows and episodes. So I want to make sure I kind of jump back to the name of the show and cover a couple areas here with you as we wrap up. But lessons for tomorrow is really about, what we have learned from the past to apply in the present for success in the future. And so we kind of talked about where Amazon and the Prime offering has come since 2005, the Buy with Prime and the evolution of the features within that specific area of the Prime offering with Buy with Prime for applying here on e-commerce sites today for merchants and the customer experience that comes from it. But talked a little bit about the future roadmap, some exciting aspects of what was discussed today. But overall, as we just have seen that evolution, and I know you can't directly talk about future things, but just future, just overall about e-commerce. I mean, we're continuing to see all these optimizations and improvements be made. Uh, do you ever think that there's going to be a way that it completely shifts from where we used to be? And I look at just like um, the one click to checkout. How do we get better than that? I know there's no answer to
Mm.
that today, but I don't know if you had any thoughts or parting wisdom about Buy with Prime and where the future could be for merchants.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, it goes back to, I think, the Bossy Cosmetics example, right? It's like being where your customers are.
Mhm.
And I think there's a lot of ways that we can do that. Like if you imagine a future, right, where you could buy through any app that you were currently interacting with, like right here in, the podcast app that you're listening to this on. That could be a really interesting offering because, like you've highlighted, Tim, like you think about a product, you want to buy it. If it's at your fingertips right then, you're going to get it, quickly, reliably. It becomes a no-brainer purchase decision. So I'd like to see more and more of that. Let's talk let's talk in a couple months when we have some more things to share here.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, it's been fun to kind of keep building based on that customer feedback.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, and we'll definitely look to do a future episode for more on Buy with Prime and where it's evolved to at that point. We're very excited about it. Excited about the opportunity to bring that to our clients and just see their continued growth in that utilization of Buy with Prime. So, with that, Derek, thank you so much for being on the show today. Uh, we want to also thank all of you listening. Thank you for tuning into the future by listening to the Lessons for Tomorrow podcast. For more information about the topics discussed today and a link to that report, check out the description of this episode. If you want us to cover a topic or submit feedback, please email us at lessonsfortomorrow@americaneagle.com and let us know. And be sure to follow this podcast wherever you listen to them and to stay up to date with us. While you're at it, if you wouldn't mind giving us a rating and sharing this podcast with others to prepare them for the future. And don't forget to follow us on social media, where sometimes I'm there and sometimes I'm not. This episode is brought to you by AmericanEagle.com Studios. I'm your host, Tim Elanius, and I'll catch you in the next lesson.